Welcome back to my channel. Today's story is about a woman who thought she had finally found the love of her life. It is well known that a person in love sometimes does not accept inconvenient facts about their object of affection or does not see the flaws in them that everyone around them sees. This can lead to life's dramas, although they rarely take on the magnitude of those described in this video. The woman in this story would have had a hard time even predicting what idea her beloved would come up with. It's 2000, and Michelle Baker, an attractive divorcee, is turning 33. She lives in Huber Heights, USA, Ohio, and works as a paramedic, a profession that gives her fulfillment and satisfaction. Michelle also has a nice house, and the only thing she is missing now is a beloved man with whom she could have children and live a happy life. Michelle does not try to look for a partner by any means, even though she is sometimes overcome by anxiety. Time is running out after all, and it is known that it is not easy to meet someone suitable. Despite this, Michelle does not look on dating sites or advertise there herself. She prefers to leave things to their own course. One day, Michelle's friend introduces her to a doctor who has just arrived in town and is completely new here. Dr. Maynard Munsing is an ENT doctor with an excellent professional position and prospects for the future. He too is 33 years old and divorced. Besides, he is very handsome. Michelle and Maynard have almost never parted since they first met and unanimously declare that they have met their other half. Everything is going so perfectly that after only a month of acquaintance, the doctor moves into Michelle's house. The couple spends their weekends with Maynard's children from his first marriage. Soon, Michelle finds that she's pregnant. This is great news for her, especially when she sees her beloved's reaction. Maynard assures her that he is just as happy about it and proposes that they fly to Florida the following weekend and have a quick wedding there in a romantic setting on the beach at sunset. Michelle accepts the idea with the greatest joy. They fly to Florida to Key West, but on the very first evening, the woman faces a huge disappointment. Her beloved asks to postpone the wedding, which he argues on the grounds that he wants his family to be able to attend as well. Michelle is unpleasantly surprised by this turn of events, but recognizes that Maynard did not think through the proposal for a quick wedding at first, acting under the influence of emotions. However, he certainly wanted the best, while the wedding is an important moment in their lives, and she should take his point of view into consideration. That same evening, she and Maynard go to a cafe. They spend time very pleasantly, but unexpectedly, Michelle gets painful cramps in lower abdomen. She goes to the restroom and there notices that she also has a slight vaginal bleeding. The mother-to-be is very concerned about this, but her fiancé tries to reassure her. He assures her that this is perfectly normal during pregnancy. Indeed, the next day the disturbing symptoms no longer appear. Nonetheless, after returning to Huber Heights, Michelle goes to the gynecologist to make sure everything is okay. She prefers to be cautious, especially because she suffered from endometriosis, and this disease can cause problems with keeping a pregnancy. A gynecologist examines Michelle and concludes that there are no indications of any fetal abnormalities, and her past health problems should not affect the current pregnancy. So the woman abandons all worries, but her peace of mind does not last long. After just a few days, the problems that appeared so suddenly during her stay in Florida return. On top of this, the cramps and bleeding now appear more frequently and are getting worse. As if the stress of the pregnancy wasn't enough, another blow suddenly falls on Michelle. When she brings up the topic of her future wedding one day, her fiancé confesses that he is hesitant about the decision because he still has warm feelings for his ex-partner, Nurse Tammy Irwin. Michelle is shocked. After all, Maynard has always spoken about Tammy in the worst possible terms, including in the presence of distant friends and acquaintances. Michelle did not like it very much. Besides, her beloved has been looking for a home for them and their yet unborn child all this time. So how is it even possible that suddenly there is talk of feelings for his ex? Maynard is unable to provide a meaningful answer to any of these questions. Michelle is confused, but doesn't want to make a rash decision and does nothing for now. It suits her that Maynard is going fishing with his friend for a few days, as she will have time to think everything over. The morning, during which her beloved is packing for the trip, passes in an exceptionally pleasant atmosphere. This fact certainly has an impact on the fact that throughout the day, Michelle is in quite a good mood. Yes, some time ago she got rid of the illusion that she had met Prince Charming, but she is holding out hope that everything might still work out somehow. That same evening, she turns on the local radio station. She doesn't listen too closely to the broadcast, especially since she is simultaneously occupied with small household chores. But suddenly something catches her attention. A voice rings out clearly on the air, which seems strangely close and familiar. In a split second, Michelle jumps to the radio receiver and stands still. Yes, it's her fiancé's voice. About this, moreover, there is no doubt, because at the request of the journalist, the man gives his name. The woman can't believe what takes place a moment later. Her beloved, who is supposedly busy fishing with a friend, has just asked for a song which he dedicates to beloved Tammy. Michelle is unspeakably sad, and besides, she has serious suspicions that Maynard lied to her. She asks her friend to drive her to Tammy's house. In fact, her fiancé's car is parked there. It so happens that both he and his former partner are sitting inside it. A sharp exchange of words ensues, during which it also comes out that Tammy has no idea that there is another woman in Maynard's life. Michelle immediately throws her now ex-fiancé out of the house. She informs him that she doesn't want anything from him and intends to raise their child on her own. A few days pass. Maynard calls Michelle and invites her to a picnic. As he informs her he would like to talk to her quietly. During the picnic, he apologizes, says he is very sorry, and asks if they could try again. The apology sounds sincere. Michelle tentatively agrees to his proposal. Sometime later, she suddenly begins to feel very unwell. Vomiting appears. The picnic has to be interrupted. At home, diarrhea and severe vaginal bleeding add to these symptoms. Later the same day, Michelle shows up at the gynecologist. During the examination, the doctor is unable to find anything that could cause problems. No abnormalities can be seen in the ultrasound image either. As the next day the symptoms disappear as suddenly as they appeared, she comes to the conclusion that all these problems were caused by stress. Fortunately, the situation in her relationship is normalizing. Maynard is kind and caring. The two spend a lot of time together. They talk about marriage again. When one day the disturbing symptoms suddenly return, Michelle's twin sister draws her attention to a correlation. "Doesn't it seem strange to you that you get sick every time you spend time with your fiancé?" she asks. This would imply that Maynard wants to poison her or harm the baby, and Michelle at first thinks these suspicions are absurd. However, after a second thought, she recalls that in Florida, where she first fell ill, he was the one who brought drinks from the bar to the table, so theoretically, he had the opportunity to add something to her glass. Michelle also recalls that it was her beloved who prepared the drink for her during the picnic, and that's when she got sick for the second time. The woman goes to the police and reports her suspicions that her fiancé wants to provoke a miscarriage and possibly poison her as well. To the police officers, all this seems unlikely. They claim there is nothing they can do, as there is no evidence of any kind to confirm these suspicions. Michelle decides to act alone. She knows that, above all, she can't reveal anything to the father of her child. With the help of a friend, she devises a precise plan of what she will do now. She places a small camera in the kitchen of her home, hiding it in an artificial plant. The camera is aimed at the countertop where meals and drinks are prepared. Michelle invites Maynard to dinner. It is the evening of August 2nd. He appears, and the two talk as if nothing had happened. The dish planned for dinner is to be made on the garden grill, but of course everything is prepared first in the kitchen. At one point, Michelle asks her beloved to pour drinks into glasses, while she herself leaves the kitchen to put the steaks on the grill. When she later returns, Maynard hands her a full glass. Michelle takes it and goes to the bathroom on some pretext. She pours the contents of the glass into a previously prepared bottle, which she hides in a cabinet. At the bottom of the glass, the woman notices a white deposit. She rinses it thoroughly out of the glass and pours the contents of a new, previously prepared can of cola into it. She goes back to Maynard's and has dinner with him. Michelle feels terrible about it, but does her best not to show anything. She knows that this is her only chance to get proof to confirm her suspicions and perhaps protect her child from death. If earlier she still had remnants of illusions about his intentions, tonight she got rid of them when she saw the residue at the bottom of the glass. She finds it exceptionally difficult to sit still. After all, she wants to take the sample to the police as soon as possible. Finally, her guest leaves. That's not the end of the excitement for the day, however. Shortly thereafter, a recent fiancé calls and says that Tammy is already his wife. They got married a few days ago. Michelle knows that this information changes nothing for her anymore. She takes the recorded video and a bottle of liquid poured from a glass and goes to the police. The officers immediately hand over the sample to the laboratory. A few days later, Michelle is summoned to the police station and informed that a drug called Cytotec has been found in a test sample. This drug is prescribed, among other things, to people suffering from stomach ulcers. The active ingredient in it increases the contractility of the uterine muscle, which is why its use is prohibited during pregnancy, as it can cause miscarriage, fetal birth defects, and premature delivery. As for the video provided by Michelle, it clearly shows the man adding something to one of the drinks. However, police report that despite this, the case is inconclusive, as there is no definitive proof that the drug was added to the drink by Maynard. This thesis could be refuted in court by any lawyer, stating that Michelle herself later added the substance to deliberately incriminate her ex-fiancé. Admittedly, there is still a recording, but, as material provided by the claimant, it does not carry the same weight in court as material secured in accordance with all procedures. Michelle agrees to prepare and conduct an analogous experiment by the police. When Maynard comes to Michelle's place for dinner on August 14th, a camera is already on in the kitchen, which officers have installed in a decorative figurine standing on one of the shelves. This camera, too, is pointed at the countertop where meals are being prepared. In addition, 2 police officers are hiding in the garage, watching the camera's image in real time on a monitor. Like the previous time, Michelle comes out of the kitchen with the steaks and asks Maynard to prepare the drinks. The policemen see exactly how the man, just after he is left alone in the room, pulls a vial of medicine from his pocket and pours something into one of the drinks. Police officers rush into the kitchen in no time. Completely surprised, Maynard still has the drug vial in his pocket. The man is arrested. Laboratory tests show that the same drug was mixed into the drink intended for Michelle as before. In the suspect's trunk, moreover, police find further supplies of the drug. An investigation is underway, with police preparing materials for court. It turns out that Tammy, Maynard's wife, is also involved in the case, and that she has carried out some fraud related to the filling of prescriptions for the drug. The doctor himself is released from custody on bail, and he and his wife await trial. Michelle has weekly checkups and has an ultrasound once a month. The pregnancy is progressing without any apparent disturbances. Nevertheless, in the 28th week, Michelle suddenly develops contractions and begins labor. The woman immediately goes to the hospital. The labor goes well, but unfortunately, the baby girl who is born is dead. Michelle is devastated. Also, on the death of the child, the police undertake an investigation. Pathologists are unable to determine the cause of death. There are no traces of the drug in the placenta, so there is no way to conclusively identify its consumption as the cause of the child's death and charge Maynard with it. Soon the trial begins. It drags on for quite a long time, compounded by the aforementioned problems in clearly linking the effects of taking the drug to the child's death. The verdict finally falls in October 2001. Dr. Maynard Muntzing is sentenced to 5 years in prison for attempted murder. He also loses his right to practice his profession in the United States. His wife, Tammy, 38, pleads guilty to charges related to the filling of a Cytotec prescription and receives a suspended 5-year prison sentence, along with an order to perform 100 hours of community service. She also loses her nursing license. Michelle firmly believes that Maynard bears full responsibility for their daughter's death. In August 2002, she files a lawsuit against her former fiancé for $3.5 million compensation. The media does not report whether she succeeded in obtaining compensation, and if so, in what amount. All that is known is that in 2007, Maynard Muntzing filed for bankruptcy, but it cannot be determined whether this had any connection with the lawsuit filed by Michelle Baker. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe. Goodbye for now.